With the NHL's return to play qualifying round just weeks away, with the New York Rangers facing off against the Carolina Hurricanes, the Rangers have a lot of crucial decisions they must make prior to Game 1 against the Hurricanes. So David Quinn, the Rangers head coach especially, I'm sure has been thinking about a lot of things that he needs to figure out leading up to this first game, but without question, the biggest and most controversial and the hottest topic has been who is the Rangers starter going to be. The Rangers, as we all know, have been rotating 3 goaltenders within this past year, and I truly believe the starter is not nearly as clear-cut as a lot of writers and Ranger fans make it out to be. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent content on all things relating hockey and the NHL overall. And if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and a like if you enjoy this kind of hockey content. I'm so close to 200 subscribers, I have less than 20 away, so any love would really be appreciated, and trust me, this is only the beginning of a lot of amazing things that happen on this channel. But enough of that. As a Rangers fan, it's time we talk about another hot topic when it comes to the Rangers, and that is who are they going to start Game 1 against the Carolina Hurricanes in that qualifying round? A lot of people think it is, of course, going to be the likes of Igor Shesterkin, the rookie phenom that the Rangers drafted back in 2014 that has been so coveted for so long, and in his short stint in the AHL thus far has been amazing. Or is it going to be Henrik Lundqvist? As we all know, who knows how much time Lundqvist has left in a New York Rangers sweater, and is he deserving of having at least one last run with the team? A lot of those things factor in, and I want to apologize to Alexander Georgiev for not mentioning him in this video, but I really think that it lies down between these two goaltenders more than anything. But when it comes to this situation, you have to look no further than where are they now? How did they get here to this point? What have they done in this past season? As we all know, Shesterkin had a great stint, a short stint in the AHL, though, might I add, in his rookie season, with 10 wins, 2 losses, 0 overtime losses in his first 12 appearances, with a goals allowed average of 2.52 and a save percentage of .932. He was on a ridiculous tear up until he suffered an injury from getting in a car accident alongside Pavel Buchnevich, his teammate in New York, but he is all healed up now, so that is good. But Henrik Lundqvist, on the other hand, has the same amount of wins, but in a lot more games played. Henrik Lundqvist, as we all know, has had a very up and down season, some of the worst statistics of his career, and it goes hand in hand with not just his deteriorating play, but also how the Rangers utilize him. He is not getting a workload nearly as much as he has in times prior. He fell out of being the starter shortly after Igor Shesterkin came into the league especially. But Hank, as I mentioned, 30 games played, had 10 wins, 12 losses, 3 overtime losses, a goals allowed average of 3.16, and a save percentage of .905. So not terrible numbers, but not great by any means either. But what's more important, too, is how do they match up against the team they're playing in the qualifying round, the Carolina Hurricanes? You may know the Rangers dominated the Hurricanes 4-0 in the regular season, and they have dominated them for quite some time. We're talking years now they've had the upper hand, and it really isn't close, statistically speaking, based on wins and losses. But when it comes to Lundqvist especially, he has been the Carolina Hurricanes' kryptonite. And it's kind of surprising why that is. It reminds me a lot of how Jimmy Howard, the goaltender for the Detroit Red Wings, as you probably know, has been the same kryptonite for the New York Rangers throughout the majority of his career. Now, I understand that's probably in part with Howard growing up a Rangers fan, loving playing in Madison Square Garden, where he dreamt of playing as a kid. But besides that, Lundqvist has had that very similar effect with the Hurricanes, and he did the exact same thing this past season. In 3 appearances, had 3 wins, 0 losses, a goals allowed average of 2.33, and a save percentage of .947. Fantastic numbers, and yes, it's a short stint, but if we're talking about a qualifying round of best of 5, that's all you need to get the job done. Now, when it comes to Igor Shesterkin, he has played 1 game against the Carolina Hurricanes this past season, and it of course, was a win, and has a goals allowed average of 2.00 and a save percentage of .931. So between the two, they both have great stats. Upper hand goes to Hank, not just on this year, but past years when it comes to his play against the Hurricanes, but Shesterkin has the upper hand in his overall play and progression since coming into the league this past season. But now let's get to playoff experience, because this is where things are undoubtedly most lopsided, and there's a lot more to it than you may think. So, of course, Igor Shesterkin never playing a playoff game in the NHL level. And yes, you may say, well, the qualifying round isn't playoffs. Yes, I know that. But I'm assuming, and you would really have to assume, that the qualifying round is going to have that same kind of playoff mentality and feel to it. Because whoever loses qualifying round doesn't make playoffs, and these are all teams trying to make playoffs, right? So I'm assuming it to have that very similar feel, if not the same. But Igor, as we all know, has yet to play an actual playoff game in the NHL, has had playoff experience in the KHL, which is the second best hockey league in the world, in my opinion, but that still doesn't match up with what it's like to play at the NHL level. But when it comes to Lundqvist, it's a completely different story. If you're a Rangers fan, you know Hank has bailed the Rangers out year in and year out whenever they make the playoffs, being fantastic for them. In 128 games played, has 61 wins, 65 losses, a goals allowed average of 2.28, and a save percentage of 922. Those are Hall of Fame worthy numbers from a playoff standpoint, and Lundqvist could very go down as a Hall of Fame goaltender that never won a Stanley Cup. But these are all more reasons to say favor Henrik Lundqvist because of his playoff experience. But of course, the counter will be, well, he isn't that same goaltender that he was just a couple years ago in the playoffs or throughout his career. That may be true, but if there's one thing we all know about Henrik Lundqvist, he steps up when it matters most, especially in playoffs. If you look at this win-loss differential, how many of those losses were games that the Rangers easily should have won where Hank backed them up, but they just couldn't get enough goal scoring? And how many of those wins were games that the Rangers definitely didn't deserve to win, but Hank bailed them out with 35, 40-plus saves? Look at the Rangers when they were in the Stanley Cup in the 2014-2015 postseason. Lundqvist easily rode them all the way into that deep playoff run, and without him, they wouldn't have even won one actual Stanley Cup game against the LA Kings that year. So, with all those things being said, though, who deserves to be starter? Well, if you want to base it on youth and want more experience, then of course you favor Igor Shesterkin. But I think given where the current state the Rangers are right now, they don't need him to start those games. It would be nice if they do, but they don't need him to. I think that the experience will be great, but it won't be an end-all situation if he rides the bench and watches the likes of Henrik Lundqvist have his last run with the Rangers. Because let's be honest, Lundqvist is not going to be with the Rangers next season. I will kind of be baffled at this point if he is. Between his cap hit of over $8 million and the Rangers, of course, not wanting to eat that contract any longer with him just riding the bench, and with the salary cap being the same for next year, they're going to have a salary cap issue as it is, and with, of course, Lundqvist possibly retiring as soon as after this postseason. A lot of those things need to be factored in, and the Rangers and Lundqvist's relationship is really towards the end now. There's no question about it. And Hank has definitely been mistreated within the past couple of years, but he also knew what he was getting himself into, as the Rangers knew they were going to have Georgiev kind of get better over the past couple of years, and Igor Shesterkin would come to the team sooner rather than later. And that was a commitment that Hank chose to make when he didn't get traded by the Rangers, as they proposed him to be traded a couple years ago back in 2017 when they first started the rebuild/retool, but he said no, he wants to stay and be here for this kind of rebuild, retool, whatever you may call it. But now he's facing the repercussions of doing so, and that has obviously left a sour situation between both parties. But regardless, Lundqvist deserves one last run with the team. Because if you look at it now, if this is his last run, what's better off to send him for his last run into the sunset, have a possible deep playoff run, possibly even go for the Stanley Cup? Yes, I know that may seem like a harsh reality to even think about happening, but Lundqvist, when he is at his best, he can still make it happen. I think he would play out of his mind if he was the starter, not just against Carolina, but if they win that round, then going into playoffs. He knows this is most likely his last run, and I fully expect him to give it all he possibly has, and rightfully so. Hank will very well go down as one of the best goaltenders the NHL has ever seen and never win a Stanley Cup. So at least give him one last shot in order to do so. Even if they don't win the Cup, a deep playoff run I think would mean a lot to him and the team overall. And Igor Shesterkin can look at that and look at what can be expected to come in years going forward. So I think if the Rangers start Igor, it'll kind of be silly. Yes, it's good for experience, but I think Hank is undoubtedly deserving of this. I know that they have a team-first mentality, so team first means Igor, but Henrik Lundqvist can carry this team when they need him to. Better yet, to do it in his last final run with the New York Rangers. I think it is time to do that, and I understand the perfect argument to take Igor Georgiev over him. I do, but this is just my personal opinion. I think it will be best for him as a send-off and for the club overall. But with all those things being said, I think that's going to conclude this video. So without further ado, I'm going to close it out right now. Let me know what you think. Who do you think deserves to be the starter in Game 1 in the qualifying round against Carolina Hurricanes? Do you think it should be Igor Shesterkin, Czar, the heir apparent to Henrik Lundqvist to the Kane? Do you think it should be the Kane Henrik Lundqvist? Maybe you think it should be Alexander Georgiev. I'm assuming that's an unpopular opinion, but I'm sure there will be probably one or two of you at least that says something like that. But with all those things being said, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I have plenty of other Ranger videos. Make sure to check them out. I'll have my previous videos right down here below for you. And if you're new here, like I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like if you like this kind of hockey content. Comment down below, put on that notification bell, and make sure you check out when my videos are first out. And with all those things being said, once again, thank you all so much, and I'll be back in a day or two.